FOMO, no fear, subscribe, stay sharp, and dance with the stinky socks. Dance with the stinky socks. Dance with the stinky socks. Dance with the stinky socks.
Heaven's sakes, don't smoke your socks. Bought some Bitcoin late at night. Woke up rich, that ain't right. Checked again, never mind. Broke as hell. See that line? Maybe risky, maybe wild, but so is betting on Uncle Clyde. Do your research, read your blogs. For heaven's sakes, don't smoke your socks.
Don't smoke your socks.
1, 2, test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. Everybody hit that line.
No FOMO, no fear. Subscribe, stay sharp. Don't smoke those stinky socks.
There we go. Right, legends, welcome to another live stream. Smash up that like button on your way in and don't smoke your stinky socks, right? welcome, legends. A Friday, most probably people getting ready for the weekend. Maybe you have some plans. Maybe it's cold. Maybe it's hot. Maybe you're going to have a barbecue, spend some time with family and friends. Let's analyze the price of Bitcoin here together. Welcome to another live stream. I see the questions are already rolling in. I will get through as much as I possibly can during this beautiful live stream, legends. And now this, here on the 1 hour time frame, okay, it looks like we're getting a nice little decent leg here to the upside. We have a 3-wave structure over here, and can this now be the 4 and the final leg here to the upside? I would expect it to go snap a little bit higher so that we can have a proper 5th wave here to the upside, as per the analysis that I shared yesterday in the live stream. It would be it's a valid 5th wave. Okay, it's valid. Not the most beautiful, very short in time. I must say, very short in time compared to this structure and this structure. Very short in time. And because it's so short in time, it could potentially still be counted as a 3-wave structure. Okay, you want to see a little bit more momentum here to the upside. Right, legends, let me change the color of my pen over here because red just looks absolutely dangerous, right? Red looks absolutely dangerous. And maybe because we're feeling a little bit bullish, maybe I need to change my color to green. Okay, let's make it green today. Right. Okay, legends, welcome. Irina, I see you. Welcome to the live stream. Never play that ever again. Hamza Wisdom, not sure why. Took me a lot of work to put that together, and it brings a little bit of fun here for the community. Right, might waste some fireworks. Happy Friday all. Good morning from Nigeria. Welcome. Yes, people here from all over the world. Morning, guys. Danny, welcome to the welcome to the live stream. Mr. No Financial Advice, always great to see one of the mods here in the live stream supporting and moderating the comments. Okay, right, legends, let's get into the technical analysis. Okay, so where I'm going to spend most of my time, in case you are wondering today, we can do a little bit of high time frame analysis, and we can focus on this little structure over here. Okay, what are the probabilities looking like? Are we going to get a dump? Right, was this the top, and this is now part of a dump here to the downside, right? That's going to sweep up all the lows. Who knows, legends, but I mean, the clues lies inside of this structure over here. And we can trade this damn structure with good risk management, up and down. Okay, it looks like one of the trading scenarios that I highlighted inside of our Legends Pro community is starting to play out. And I mean, if I go here onto our Legends Pro community, there were so many things that I shared over here, right? First thing that I shared was an ABC. Second thing that I shared is to say maybe the ABC is done. We're going to pump here to the upside. Then I shared a trade on fetch. What else? WXY scenario. So I'm going to go through all of these scenarios and see, well, has any of them been invalidated, and is there still a potential trade to take here to the upside, and what are the probabilities of these trading scenarios from a liquidity heat map perspective. Let me do this. Right, you can see that we have liquidity on both ends at the moment. We have liquidity and we have liquidity building up to the bottom. Now the question is, are we first going to go down, then grab the liquidity above, or are we first going to make the high and then start correcting to the downside, right? And that is why we need to analyze the local structure to determine, well, what does the probabilities look like? Okay. Very interesting indeed. Okay, right, legends. So on the 1 hour time frame, and even let's do a little bit of, let me just swing myself back the other side, a little bit of high technical analysis. And I feel like I feel a little bit like a broken record over here, because you all know the level that everyone is watching. Okay, price is currently consolidating at the 0.618. This is where price is currently finding resistance. It's a tough nut, right, guys? You can see, look at all this volume that was traded over here, right? This is going to be a tough nut to crack. The question is, one more high, or is it done? And now we're going to start correcting to the downside. Maybe find support above the highs or the consolidation area that we created over here. Okay, cool, legends. Also, when I take a fixed range for a volume profile for this entire zone that we've been in, you can see we are also at the point of control of the entire range where the most amount of volume was traded. Okay, right, legends. So definitely obvious resistance. I just want to see, do we still have levels to the upside? We still have, yes, we still have a daily level and we have a naked point of control. Can you guys see over here this little pivot? Look at that little pivot. We have a daily level and a naked point of control to around $98,200. Okay, let's just give it a round number. $98,200. Is there a chance for the structure to still make one more high and then start correcting aggressively here to the downside? That is the question. Okay, and then you will also be forming that little triple top, right, where price could potentially start rejecting to the downside. Okay, so legends, now let me clean up the kitchen and let's go and analyze this small little structure here on the 5-minute time frame. Yes, I really don't see a lot of technical traders that can actually do proper analysis on the smaller time frames. The higher the time frame, the easier it is to do a technical analysis. The smaller the time frame, the more difficult it becomes. Okay, and this is why I also say that if you're practicing your trading strategies, try and stick to smaller time frames, because all the patterns play out there a lot quicker. It's more difficult, and it will really give you the edge that you need to train you on your trading strategy. Right, legends, first thing I want to focus on is this little structure that we have now built here to the upside. Quite a nice little bullish structure here to the upside. One could argue, okay, maybe we have created the 1, 2, this was the 3, we are now busy with 4, and we're going to create that one more high to the upside that I've just identified on the higher time frame. This is why it's so important for me to also do high time frame analysis to see, well, where is the next area of major resistance to the upside. So if I switch on those levels again, daily level, naked point of control, you'll see, well, here it is, right? Here it is. Now the question is, well, are we just going to move up from here and go and tap that level and then come down? Or is this structure still going to continue for a while before we go to the upside? Right, I just want to see, where's that liquidity? This liquidity pool is at 95, let's call it 95,200. 95,200. Very interesting, legends, very interesting. Okay, we can discuss that liquidity pool. Let me mark it out so I don't forget. That liquidity pool is at 95,200. Let's see, right over here, right in this zone is the liquidity pool. Let's do this. Okay, so let's see how this is going to potentially play out. Right, legends, what I want to do now is the following. Okay, there's a couple of ways from an Elliott wave perspective in which we can count this structure. From a simplicity perspective, let me start with the basics. Let me start with the simplicity of this structure. Ooh, I do like this. Look at this, right? You can see obvious support in alignment with that liquidity pool to the downside. Beautiful. Okay, that's what you want to see. So that if price falls here to the downside, now you have obvious support here to the downside that could still create a higher low for continuation to the upside. Okay, and from an Elliott wave perspective, I'll get to that last because it's the most complex trading scenarios, right? So let's just from a simplicity perspective says price, okay, first level of support to the downside is we have a naked point of control at $96,100, right? And it was formed during this consolidation area and this little momentum here to the downside. We created a naked point of control. So if price falls to the downside, definitely an area that I will be paying attention to for a long. Maybe there's a nice little trend forming over there, right? Especially if it does claim the lows. Who knows? Okay. And this is the zone that I will be paying attention to. Right, and then obviously further to the downside, we have this liquidity pool that can act as support. You stop everyone out, everyone that's speculating on much higher prices from here, you go and stop them out here at the bottom. I just want to see from a Fibonacci perspective, if I take a fib from the high, from the low to the high, where does it line up? Well, it lines up at the moment. If this is the top and we are going to fall here to the downside, beautiful alignment with the 50% Fibonacci. You find support above the highs, okay, maybe there's a nice little trend that's usually, the best way to get into the trade. You play the break of the trend, whichever way is your preferred trading strategy. I will also consider a swing failure from the 50% Fibonacci line if we do fall to the downside aggressively. From a front running perspective, okay, definitely the 0.382 with that little pivot. Beautiful, okay, if price had to fall down here, it gets acceptance back above, right? You enter, your stop goes below the low, off to the races you go to go and claim the liquidity to the upside because we could front run this zone. Okay, it's just about applying your trading strategy at the end of the day. So I'm just trying to paint out all the scenarios as simple as I possibly can. And then I'm going to make it a little bit more complex for those of you that do like Elliott wave theory as well. Okay, so from a simplicity perspective, guys, pay attention to the naked point of control and this little pivot. Price could dip below, get acceptance back above, it breaks the trend that's going to form over there, and that is your long to the upside. Right, profit taking areas is always these little pivots to the upside. It's always profit taking areas. You cannot just be guaranteed that you're going to come and hit the zone over here because it could be forming a larger corrective structure, takes the high and then it goes down and then it goes up, right? You never know. And I think we've all learned this lesson by now. If you longing support, just damn well take profit at resistance, okay? Because you do not know what price is going to do. Leave some of the position open for higher levels. It's the best way to trade at the end of the day. Okay, right, legends. And then obviously I will use this little pivot together with a 0.382 for potential SFP, and then the best area from a technical perspective is the 50% Fibonacci that also aligns with the liquidity pool and support above the highs. Okay. Right. I think that basically explains, but you guys can see that I am looking for longs. Okay. Hence the green pen over here. I think the bulls are still in control for now. But the question is for how long? Okay. Because the structure could be nearing an end. Right, and this is now what I want to show everyone from an Elliott wave perspective. So if I take the fibs out the way, this one out the way, okay, let's clean up the chart ever so slightly. Right, let's take the resistance out. Now I want to look at the structure over here. Okay, so now the counting waves scenario starts over here. Now we're starting to count waves. Right. I like the new screensaver and music. Don't smoke your socks, lol. Thanks, Irina. Appreciate it. Hi, Dewald and Legends. Remember, don't smoke those stinky socks. Yes. Old song, way better. Old song, way better. Right? Yeah, I like them both. I like them both. The only difference between the old song and the new song is the new song has the video added to it. Right. Okay. Cool, Legends. So I have my base scenario over here. And you guys can see I did spend quite some time trying to figure out, well, where are we in this structure? For now, what I can see is maybe, just maybe, right, we are building this last final fifth wave to the upside. Okay, this is basically how I'm counting the structure. You have a 1, 2, 3, and maybe this is the end of 4. If it's not the end of 4, it just means that your corrective structure is still going to continue for a while before, and then I will just drag my 4. Okay, based on the trading scenarios that I've discussed, we could still be busy with the 4, but there's a chance that the 4 is in. Okay, so looking at the structure from an Elliot wave perspective, it looks like it needs one more high. Really looks like it needs one more high. Okay. Also, when I take a fib from number 2 to number 3 over here, okay, now this is where the concern now starts kicking in again, is that we did not tap, okay. The 0.382 and the 50% Fibonacci are the most common fourth wave targets, okay, and we front run that zone. So is there a chance? But I know, you know, if you go into the 1 hour time frame, those long consolidation areas that we had with this big 3-wave structure also didn't tap the 0.382. So there's a chance that the fourth wave could be in, right? Where you have basically formed the following scenario. So I have it all ready, prepared over here. Okay, so there's the bullish case scenario. Well, it's not this one. It's it's this one over here. Right, guys, here is the bullish case scenario. Okay, let me just clean it up ever so slightly. What if, okay, I have to play what if. 3 is in. You've already created an A, B, C corrective structure, which means 4 actually moves over here. And this is now the start of an impulse to the upside, okay, to go and claim this area over here. I have to keep this in mind. Right, you still have a higher low at the moment, which means that this could be the structure that takes you out and goes and claims the high. And this was a short corrective structure, short 3-wave lightning bolt corrective structure that finished wave 4 over here. And now we're forming a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here to the upside. So the one trading scenario that I did highlight to the Legends Pro community this morning is to say, watch for the break of trend. Right, this is the break of trend. Okay, broke out, and currently it looks like it's slowly chopping here to the upside, right? But we get in with good risk management. So there's a chance based on this structure that the low is in, and we are now completing the final leg here to the upside. $98,000 200 zone. Okay. Then there is another scenario. Well, what if we have formed a WXY, but it leads to the same price action? So I don't care how you count the structure. The only difference between a WXY is that this little structure now becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but the end result is the same. You guys see the difference? End result is exactly the same, but I'm not counting this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but the end result is exactly the same. The rules for a WXY, okay, so if this is the W in an ABC, it's a 3-wave structure in an X. Because the X wave went so high, when you take a fib retracement from the high to the low of W, we tap the 0.88. And because you've tapped the 0.88, your Y wave is not allowed to claim the lows. So this is another scenario that I shared with the Legends Pro community to say that, well, the low could be in. We have tapped from a fib retracement perspective the 786 to the dollar, and we got the bounce. So there's a chance that this corrective structure is done. You play the breakout, okay, TP at the high, close your position when you hit $98,2,000. It feels a little bit easy, but nonetheless, right, legends, we don't know how the structure is going to play out, but we can get in with good risk management. Okay. Right. Just want to see. Then. There was, I think this alternative solution got invalidated. There was another option that I was looking at with this morning with the legends, basically playing a long trade here to the upside, but I wanted the fourth wave to still carry on. The fourth wave still needs to carry on. Maybe this is, okay, it is becoming a little bit concerning, but maybe this is, right, 1, 2, it's going to form a 3, make a 4, and a 5 here to the downside in a simple A, B, C. C wave always has 5 structures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Find support inside of the 50% and 382 support areas over here. And this is why I did highlight this as a very important, okay, level to keep in mind. The naked point of control. If price dips here below, gets acceptance back above, maybe there's a larger trend going to form over here. You can play the breakout from a more confirmed perspective. You have to just use lower capital to enter the trade, but this is a scenario that could potentially still play out, where price still forms an impulse here to the downside in a third wave. I just want to see something over here. If I zoom into the structure, I am just a little bit concerned about how long this leg is, but let's see. Okay, just want to drag the B up there so I can see that pivot clearly. Right, so if this is 1 and now we're going up for 2, so if this is the pivot of 2, yeah, I mean, it's this leg concerns me. The fact that this leg is so long, it really starts decreasing the probabilities of forming a 5-wave structure here to the downside. Because let me show you guys, if this is 1 and we are forming 2, and I put it where the high is at the moment, the higher it goes, the better. 2 needs to still then rocket up a little bit more. Okay, but if I put it on the high that we've currently, that the price have currently created, let me just take this fib out. Let me take this fib out the way so not to confuse anyone. Right, let's take this out the way. Now you can see where the 1.618 is. Okay, let me drag it to the side. Usually your most common target for a third wave, okay, if this is going to form a 1, 2, 3, is the 1.618, and it's already tapping the invalidation for another 5th wave to the upside. It's not allowed to tap the 0.618. Okay, so this is now how the probabilities starts to play out, in which scenario I give higher probability and lower probability. So I mean, for this third wave to still dump all the way to the 1.618, then you still have to create a 4, and then you still have to create a 5. Okay, let me just grab that 5. Okay, if this scenario plays out, there's only one thing that I think is happening over here. Okay, let me take this out the way. Let me clean up the brushes. If price taps the invalidation to the downside, it could mean, right, that this has happened already. 5 waves to the upside is already in. We already created 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not a high probability, but you know, you can count 5 waves in the structure here to the upside. Okay, also not very common for a 5th wave to end on the highest amount of volume. It's also not common. So, you know, this is now where probabilities also starts counting against this scenario. But if 5 is in and we create a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here to the downside, it could mean that this is 1, this is 2, and then we go up for a much more aggressive 3rd wave to the upside. So it's still bullish. You're just going to drop a lot further. Right. Invalidating this little 5th wave for this structure. I hope that makes sense. Okay, based on the internal counts, which I will take you guys through now, it looks like it still needs another fifth wave. Whether the low is in or whether this was the low in a WXY, it looks like it first needs to go up before it comes to these levels over here. Okay, and the reason I say that, legends, is that, you know, if I look at this third wave that has built itself here to the upside, okay, you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Beautiful. What does 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 give you? It gives you a 1. You have a corrective structure, and then you have another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a wave 3. You have a corrective structure, and then you have another 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5. I have to zoom into the 15 second, 30 second time frame, but I can count 5 waves inside of this structure. So if I can count 5 waves here, and I can count 5 waves here, and I can count 5 waves here, well, that gives me a damn 5 wave structure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I have 5 waves inside of the third wave, okay, balances beautifully actually, I still need another fifth wave to the upside. Right. So for now, legends, the probabilities to go and claim the high, maybe before we hit $95,000, the liquidity pool to the downside are higher at the moment. So I've gone through all of this to basically tell you one thing, right? For now, based on the price action that we see at the moment, the probabilities are leaning towards taking the liquidity above first before we take the liquidity at the bottom. Right, the market is here to surprise us. We trade with good risk management. We know where to put our stop losses. But based on the technical analysis, this is what I'm seeing on the structure at the moment. Okay, there's another reason. Okay, there's another reason. So let me take this out the way, clean this up. Can take that trend out the way. Okay, let's clean up this local bullish scenario. Let me switch myself back to the right side of the screen. Okay, when you take a trend-based FIB, a FIB retracement from the high to the low that we've created over here, can you see what happened over here? Do you see that? And do you see that? Right? So if this is a 1, 2, and you know the top is in and we're going to start falling here to the downside, now you have to create impulses to the downside. Remember, when you have a top and you think price is going to crash, you have to create an impulsive structure to the downside. For now, the structure looks corrective because for a 1 and a 2, very rare target, you decrease the probabilities for this to be a 1, a 2, and now we're going to create a 3, a 4, and a 5 here to the downside. Then this is extremely choppy. Why is it not falling? Why is it not falling? It's just chopping, 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 which tells me because of the 0.88 tap, increasing the probabilities that we're still going to go and take the high, maybe we're still going to go and grab the liquidity to the upside first before the price falls down. Okay, it's fine if price still does that, right? But it's still ranging. Exactly what happened here on this 15-minute time frame when we look at this structure. Okay, we all remember this corrective structure. It could go sideways very long before it finds momentum to the upside. But based on this range, I kept on saying it looks corrective. It's not impulsive to the downside. It's choppy, it's long, it's overlapping. I can't see clear impulses to the downside, right? And this is what I'm seeing in this structure here as well, is that if go back here onto the 5-minute, because now we're looking at this local structure over here. Whatever happens over here, okay, it looks corrective, increasing the probabilities to still come and take the high before you take the low. This does not look impulsive, right? It just doesn't look impulsive to create now, unless it's now a 1, 2, 1, 2, and you just fall 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, right? It's very strange to have a second wave retrace to the 0.88 to create impulses to the downside. Also, okay, if you can count a clear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave structure here to the upside, okay, the structure needs another wave. It needs another momentum wave here to the upside. I just want to make that a different color. Let's make it orange. Okay. Okay, it looks like it needs one more high. Basically, this is what the technical analysis is showing me at the moment, legends, is that we need one more high. Okay, and then we can talk about bearish case scenarios, right? Once this high is in, are we going to create a higher low and continue momentum to the upside? Will this be the end? Will this be the end of the fifth wave of the larger three-wave structure on the 1 hour, 2 hour time frame? Right? I'm just looking for local trading opportunities. That's all I'm looking for at the moment. I will play a swing failure from this little naked point of control. This is where I'm going to look for longs. Okay? And also when I take a fib from number 2 to number 3, the top of number 3, right, I will, remember that pivot that I highlighted? Remember that pivot when I took the fib from this low? So this zone and this zone still is very interesting for longs to the upside to go and claim this liquidity. Just want to see. Okay, so, and this is what I'm saying, legends, is that if this is forming a 1, 2, 3, and it even comes and taps the 50%, and then we go make the last leg to the upside. So let's say it does fall over here and it taps the 50%. I still see the probabilities for claiming the liquidity above first before we claim the liquidity below. Okay, unless 5 is in. Okay, this is not the alternative, unless 5 is in. Right, based on the internal structures, okay, doesn't really make sense, but the market is here to surprise us. What if 5 is in? 5 is done, right? Then you can expect a larger corrective structure. Okay, it needs to then fall and find support. Then you have formed a 1, 2, and you could go up for a third wave. By the way, that is going to be a lot more explosive than what people anticipate. Okay, because I have seen someone talk about this bullish case scenario yesterday. For the first time, I have seen someone talk about this bullish case scenario that I've shared here yesterday in the live stream as well. Is what if, right? Guys, by no stretch of the imagination am I saying that this scenario is going to play out. It's just a what if scenario, and it does carry low probability. Okay, but you could be here on the 1 hour time frame, 1, 2, 1, 2. And this is now forming the first 1, 2 inside of your third leg. 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. To the upside. It's an insane bullish structure. It does carry low probability because of how shallow these retracements are for a wave 2. Okay, so it just has to be said, but they do balance very nicely with each other. So it's not an invalidation, it is a scenario that can play out. The highest probable scenario, okay, at the moment is still to create one more high, and then, okay, maybe we find support. Maybe that becomes the 1, this becomes the 2, and this is going to be the moment of truth. This is, my friends, going to be the moment of truth. Do we then go up for a 3, 4, 5, where you can then see a clear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? Or will this be the end and we will lose the support? As soon as you take that low, you're starting to change market structure. As soon as you take this low, you're changing market structure, and I will be aggressively looking for shorts to go and retrace the structure all the way to the downside until you find support above these highs. Right, but I'm going to short that, right? But there's a couple of things that needs to play out in order for me to switch bias on the larger time frame. Okay, another interesting trade, legends. I think I have here on Fetch. I will show you guys now another interesting trade there on Fetch. I think I have gone through all the scenarios as best I can. So one possible scenario that could be playing out right now. Let me just make this nice and sexy. Okay, As long as we don't lose trend over here. Can you guys see this mini trend that I've got here grinding to the upside ever so slowly to the upside? Right, so a scenario that could be playing out right now in front of our very eyes is that the low is in and we are now grinding up to go and complete the fifth wave. You have already broken trend, and this is the trade that I highlighted to the Legends Pro community. You've already broken trend. This could be a WXY. This could be an ABC. This is 1, 2, and we're going up for 3, 4, 5. Doesn't really matter. The end result is exactly the same. So for now, based on the price that we have right in front of us, okay, there was the trading setup already. You could have played the SFP at the 786 if you were a sniper, because I know we have some snipers in our pro community, okay? There was 2 ways to get into this trade. You take your trend-based FIP, and I said this yesterday, guys, you need to learn these FIP retracement targets, okay? You take your FIP retracement, just want to make sure that I'm on the right scale, because this morning when I analyzed it, I did see that we did tap it. Okay. Anyways, it doesn't look like it actually tapped, Legends, but I mean, you got the reaction. Also, there was another way, right? When you take a FIP from this low to this high, tapped the 786 beautifully to perfection. So you got support at this FIP retracement at the 786. You did not tap the 0.88. It got front run the 0.88. So there's a chance for this to be an impulsive structure because you did not tap the 0.88. Okay. You also found support at this 0.786, okay, from a FIP retracement perspective. Another level that I highlighted to our Legends Pro community is to say that, well, if price continues to the downside from a FIP retracement perspective, if price had to fall down, I will pay attention to the 1-to-1 and the 1.236. Very, very important FIP retracement areas. This 1.236 looks very juicy for a swing failure pattern from this low. Okay, these pivots together with the 1-to-1. If price had to fall down here and reverse on us, definitely I will be looking for longs in these zones. And it also aligns with all the longing areas that I've just discussed from a simplicity perspective and also from an Elliot wave perspective. Because this zone is still between the 382 and 50% for a fourth wave target. Okay. So this is how I use Elliott wave theory, support, resistance, and I look at everything, the trend lines, the FIP retracement, and this is how I build my plan to look for longs and to the downside and where to take profits when we start hitting resistance to the upside. Right, Legends, remember as always, if you're not trading on the exchanges, down in the description, not sure what you are waiting for, right? Because these 2 exchanges, Bluffin and Weeks, is where you get the biggest sign-up bonus. You get 20% cash back on the money that you deposit. To trade with for free, you also get 25% discount on your trading fees. Okay, and I think for the first 100 users, I'm not sure how many places are still left, I need to find out. You also get an extra $100 USDT deposited into your futures account. Okay, for Bluffin, and it seems that Bluffin, a larger account holders like to trade on Bluffin. People with $10,000, $20,000 accounts upwards, they really enjoy trading on Bluffin. Right, there is the link where you qualify for money to get airdropped rain from the heaven into your futures account as you just do your normal trading. Right, all you need is an email and a password for both of these exchanges, also your way to support the channel. Okay, right, I just wanted to quickly see what CVD is doing over here. Oof, very flat, very flat. Momentum could potentially still continue for now to the upside. Yeah, no bearish. No wait, there's a little bit of okay, bearish CVD invalidated. There was a little bit of bearish CVD and we just invalidated it. Okay, but it's very flat and neutral at the moment. Right, Legends, another trade that I was looking at, or another coin that I was looking at, I have been speaking about it, is Fetch. Right, Fetch is forming a nice little bullish pennant over here. So something that I'm definitely keeping an eye on. Look at this nice little bullish pennant that it's forming over here. Okay, I have moved my support to above these highs. You can see how beautifully this area has acted as support. And it's currently inside of the support zone. Right, something very interesting that I also noticed is that, well, there's a couple of ways to play this trade. You wait for the breakout. Okay, you wait for the breakout. You put your stop below the low. You target the highs. You target the highs, and maybe you leave a moonback open for slightly higher levels. Okay, that's one way to get into this trade. And from a safety perspective, you do not get into the trade until the trend line breaks. Okay, unless you can get in and have a free trade. Okay, so if I go here onto the 15-minute time frame, and this is something that I looked at this morning, is again, when I take my trend-based fib from the high to the low to the high, okay, I drag it across. Where did fetch bounce? Woo, fetch bounced on the 1.618. Okay, I'm not sure if you guys can see that. On the 1.618. Right, so if you can play swing failure patterns successfully, well, here was now a chance for you to get in with a teeny weeny tiny little stop loss over here. If you get stopped out, you get acceptance back above, great, you can re-enter the trade, or you can just wait for the break of the trend. Right, cool. So keeping an eye on fetch here as well. Obviously Bitcoin needs to play ball, and I think that's basically the only trade I was watching. Link here as well. I think Link, if it's gonna correct, it's, you know, I would like it to find support over here. It might create that higher low for a bounce, right? Break out, go and complete the final fifth wave here to the upside. But it's just not in a trading zone for me at the moment. Okay, myself, and I know there was a couple of other people here on the live stream. Okay, we caught the entry over here. Right? So currently still in this trade. I have taken a little bit of profits to the upside because that's just what I do. But my position is protected. I'm inside of a free trade, and more locally what I will do is I will go onto the 5 minute time frame, and I will track this momentum here to the downside, and if there's a nice trend forming, I will add to my position if it breaks out successfully. So that is how I'm planning to trade Link. Right, legends, that is basically it from my side. Let's go through some comments. I love the new intro song. I also love the new intro song. Mark being one of the biggest out there. Mr. Mark Dutch, right? Do we have Mark Dutch here in the live stream? Welcome, Mr. Mark. Always appreciate you jumping in and having some fun here inside of the Legends Pro my live streams. Right, you're using Corns Zero. I'm gonna call him straight away, right? 886, yes. Mark, go and phone Koens. Tell him that I'm using his 0.88 probability, but it's from Koen that I heard it for the first time, okay? And then I went and I backtested it, because I can't just take someone's word for something. This 0.88, I went and I backtested it. Reversed the price action, and I went to go and try and figure out, well, how many times after you tap the 0.88 do you in actual fact claim the highs and invalidate an impulse to the downside? And the numbers were quite high, right? So from a probability perspective, when you tap the 0.88, you increase the probabilities of claiming the high. Okay, and we are technical traders, so we trade probabilities. So yes, I did hear it from Koens a couple of years ago for the first time when Koens started out, but I had to go and backtest it, because I'm not just gonna take someone's probability and just say it has a high probability, and I haven't actually backtested it, right? So there was a lot of backtesting that went in with it. So I agree with Koen. Definitely, when you tap the 0.88, you increase the probabilities of taking the high. Never guaranteed, but it's a probability, a game of probabilities at the end of the day. Okay, I think the 0.88 gang was one of my things. Yes, I know we have a 0.88 gang inside of our Legends Pro community. The new golden pocket, as the people refer to it. Okay. Can you look at why dump? Not sure why dump. Okay, so you say the 0.88 is more accurate than 0.886. Dewald, yes, I use the 0.88. More accurate. I haven't, well, Mark, I haven't backtested the 886. I've only backtested the 88. Okay, I haven't backtested the 886, so I can't comment on that one. But from the 0.88 perspective, it carries higher probability when you tap the 0.88 that you're going to come and claim the high. Interesting. AI says there's an estimated 68% probability that BTC continues with wave 5 to the upside, and a 32% chance it reverses downwards from current levels at the moment. Interesting. That's what AI is saying at the moment. I should actually ask these questions to ChatGPT as well. Guys, ChatGPT is actually amazing. I saw the other day, you can post a picture of your chart, throw it into ChatGPT, especially if you have the paid for subscription, and it will analyze it for you from an Elliot wave perspective, for a volume perspective, trend line perspective, whatever strategy you play, it will analyze it for you. I haven't personally used it, but I saw the other day, I was looking at a WXY corrective structure, and I threw a screenshot into ChatGPT just to ask ChatGPT, does this WXY make sense? Did I measure the levels correctly? And it actually gave me a whole spiel about, yes, this one is a zigzag, it tapped this level and blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, wow, right? ChatGPT does amazing things. Okay. Right. What time frames works best with 0.88? Any time frame. 1 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, 4 hour, 8 hour daily. All the time frames works best for 0.88. Okay. Okay, guys, you must remember it's a game of probabilities at the end of the day, right? So let me just clean up the structure over here. Unfortunately, nothing is ever guaranteed in the market. But because of probabilities, okay, if you go, do yourself a favor and go back test it. If you don't believe me, go and back test it. Any time frame. Go crazy, go wild, right? When I see this, okay, let me take this other fib out the way. When I see this, right, based on my back testing, okay, I'm just going to give it a round number. 70% of the time, 70% of the time, you go and claim the high. The other 30% of the time, it creates an impulse. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. So there's still a 30% probability that this could still form an impulse to the downside in a double 1, 2 to the downside. But as a technical trader, I trade probabilities. So I would rather always trade the higher probable scenario than the lower probable scenario, because that is what makes you a smart trader. If you go to the casino and you have a 70% chance of winning whatever blackjack or poker or whatever game you are playing, if you have 70% odds of winning, that's not gambling anymore. That's actually a good risk to reward. Okay, but unfortunately casinos are 50-50. I think even lower, because the house always wins. You guys know when you walk into a casino, you have like a 10% chance of walking out with something, right? So, but at least you get a beer and some whiskey and you can have a good time, right? But as a technical trader, I have to trade probabilities, even if I know that there's a 30% chance that it might not take the high, but it has a higher chance of taking the high before it takes the low. Okay, and this is what I mean, guys. This probability works out. It has a 70% higher chance of taking the high before it takes this low. Okay. And I mean, you guys can see how the probabilities also worked out inside of this structure. Okay, and this is according to my back testing. I mean, guys, look at this, right? We had a fib from the high to the low. You drag it across. We tap the 0.88, and this is how you backtest it. You tap the 0.88 once, twice, thrice. When you take a fib from this high to this low, we also tap the 0.88 there. When you take a fib from this high to this low, we also tap the 0.88 there. Okay, when you have 0.88 taps, you increase the probabilities of taking the high. And this is what we said during the live stream. Guys, because of this, the probabilities are higher to claim the high before we fall down. And that's exactly what happened. The probability play out, because this probability had a 70%. I'm just giving it a round number. I need to go and check exactly what the number is, but it had a 70% chance of claiming the high because of all the 0.88 taps. Okay, I can show you guys on the larger time frame, because someone asked the question, which time frames? If I go onto the 8-hour time frame, okay, and I look at this structure, and this is also something that we spoke about. Okay, look at this, guys. From the high to the low, you tap the 0.8. Okay, from the high to the low, you just do it properly. You tap the 0.8. So it's not to say that you can't get a rejection, but when price is starting to go sideways and you have FIP pools that every time from the high to the low, you tap the 0.8 every single time, 0.8. Okay, we tapped over there as well. 0.8, 0.8, 0.88, okay? And while we were ranging here, and even when we came down here and we made this low, there was, you guys can go and check out these live streams. I always said, guys, the probabilities are still higher to move up before we come and take this low. That's what I said. Because of my back testing, we had a 70% chance of breaking out because of all the 0.88 taps. Right, guys, and that's just from a back testing perspective. If you don't believe me, go and do it yourself. Reverse the price of Bitcoin and go and back test it. Okay? And this is what I did. So I heard about this probability from Kuhn. So Mark is right. I heard about the probability from Kuhn. But I had to go and back test it to make sure that... I had to see for myself. Okay? And yes, Kuhn's back testing was actually pretty spot on. Right. Cool. What else? Okay, it looks like price is finding a little bit of upwards momentum here at the moment. I don't see any weakness at the moment. Right, price is very neutral from a CVD perspective. Guys, as always, links for the trading platforms that I use from a day trading perspective, Weeks and Bluffin, always down in the description where you qualify for the best deals and sign-up bonuses. Okay, I've gone through Fetch, vacuum cleaner integrated, gotta love technology. I'm having May walk away feeling now. Right, guys, and this could be the May walk away that's going to happen. Crypto, ESO, this could be, what if? Now, this is the dangerous scenario, is that we have formed, okay, or we are about to form a 5-wave structure here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What if this is the 5th wave of this entire structure that we have been forming? What if, we have to consider this? Right, when you look at this entire structure, what if we had the 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is the 5th wave that ends at $98,000 and walk away in May? All shit and hell breaks loose. Okay, I also just have to point out that the bear moon has printed. So is this bear moon going to give us a little bit of selling pressure? Okay, you can see when we had the bull moon, we moved to the upside. Now we have the bear moon that is printed. So, could this be the moment where it's going to start rolling down? I don't know. I just get into trades with good risk management, and that is something. Ooh, is this thing, does it have a new, latest version? Oh, it looks exactly the same. Okay. Right. Cool, legends. That is basically it from my side. Hey man, love your lives. But what accent is that? Accent. Oh, I'm from South Africa. So my native language is actually Afrikaans, which is Dutch. But very, very similar. So people that speak Dutch, I can understand them. They can also understand me, but the language is a little bit different. But I mean, we still have the English universal language. So even here in South Africa, inside of our workspaces, you have to be able to speak English at least. Okay. So that because we have 11 official languages in South Africa, right? So they needed to decide at least on one language that everyone can understand when they're working together. And that language was English that was selected. But I was raised Afrikaans. So that's where the accent comes from. Okay. Dewald, Mr. Dewald, can you TA gold? Ooh, yes, I have not looked at gold in very long. What I will do is I will go and have a look at gold, but I will present it in the next live stream. I want to go give it some love and the love that it needs. Right. Cool Legends, thank you so much for joining this live stream. I will see if I can do another update a little bit later. Guys, I do expect volatility today. It is Friday. It is not a public holiday or international public holiday. We all know, right? There's a big move coming today. I know that there's a big move coming. We always, most of the times, also from a back testing perspective, go and check it out. Fridays gives you a nice volatile move, especially just before the markets close. So in a couple of hours from now, the question is, are we still going to get that one more leg to the upside and this is going to be the Friday move? Okay. Or is this going to be the Friday move? Okay. We chop above, right? And then we fall to the downside on Sunday evening. So Saturdays is usually the choppiness, the no trade zone. If you want to scalp, by all means go in, but I am expecting a big move today before the markets close, before tomorrow, because Saturday is usually rangy and Fridays gives you that one last volatile move before the markets close. Okay, so please trade safe, have some fun with your family, take a break from the chart, especially on Saturdays, because that's usually when we get a very boring price action. Remember to smash up that like button if you're not already subscribed. Subscribe for future notifications. This is where we do pure technical analysis. Legends, have yourselves a great Friday. Until the next one, cheers for now.